Are you looking for a waterfront neighborhood in Tacoma, Washington? Well, you've come to the right place. Here on MoveToTacoma.com, we have dozens and dozens of waterfront neighborhoods all around Tacoma and across Pierce County. But today, we're going to talk about 5 neighborhoods that are not on the list. 5 hidden neighborhoods in and around Tacoma that you might not have seen before. Here, the first thing to understand is that Tacoma is surrounded by Commencement Bay. Commencement Bay is full of seals, sea lions, orca whales, and occasionally even gray whales. There is no shortage of salt water and sunset water views in the city of Tacoma. So if you'd like to see just standard waterfront and water view neighborhoods, check out the neighborhood guide at MoveToTacoma.com. But today we're going to talk about the hidden neighborhoods, the things that are a little bit less obvious. The neighborhoods that we're going to talk about today are Titlow Beach, Salmon Beach, the Browns Point waterfront area, not Browns Point, but the waterfront area along Marine View Drive. We're going to talk about Day Island, which is technically in University Place, but we're going to include it anyway because it's basically across the street from Tacoma. And the Thea Foss Waterway neighborhood in downtown Tacoma. The first neighborhood that we're going to talk about is Titlow Beach. And Titlow Beach is at the very bottom of the West Slope neighborhood of Tacoma. A lot of people would just lump it in with that. And I suppose it is lumped in with that as far as market statistics and all of that stuff. But it is really a unique little strip of its own. The homes along Titlow are built on piers right on the water. The Northwest Marina is located right there, so people can dock their boats or lease boathouse space right outside their front doors. So if you're wondering how much it costs to buy a house in Titlow Beach, the answer is it depends. Normally, when we're looking at a neighborhood and we're trying to offer a median home price for that neighborhood, we're going to take the most recent home sales, and do a median price on what those were, whether it's the last 30 days, the last 6 months, kind of based on whatever data that we have available to us. But in the case of Titlow, there have only been 2 home sales in the last 5 years. One sold for $600,000, one sold for $365,000. So just be prepared that there are not going to be easy comparable homes right within the neighborhood when it comes time to appraise and assess the value of the house. And also be prepared for the fact that when you're looking, there might not be a home for sale in Titlow Beach. These are homes that don't turn over very often. So you definitely want to plug in with someone who's an expert in the Titlow Beach neighborhood if that is really a place that you've decided that you want to live. Next, we're going to talk about Salmon Beach. Salmon Beach is located just south of Point Defiance Park in the most northwest corner of Tacoma, scrunched up right next to Ruston. And it's a completely unique neighborhood. Dozens of houses, these cedar shake houses, built on piers below Point Defiance. You actually have to park your car at the top of the hill and take these steps down the hill, steps to get to these houses. They're really unique, really incredible. And the community there is, you have to become so close and interdependent with your neighbors to live like this. It is more work. Think about it. You got to truck your groceries in. There's a garbage boat to take the garbage out. Every time something needs to be repaired, it is a whole rigmarole. And yet, it is the most stunning, incredible views of Puget Sound. You'll have whales and herons and sea lions and seals and, octopuses floating by. You are going to have the most incredible, unparalleled access to nature living in a place like Salmon Beach. Now, like Titlow Beach, Salmon Beach has had very few home sales in the neighborhood over the last decade. Now, you also need to understand that financing, flood insurance, all of those things are very specialized and very particular when it comes to Salmon Beach. Not just anybody's going to finance it and not just anyone's going to insure it. So you definitely want to find somebody who has expertise, who has transacted in Salmon Beach before to kind of guide you through the process, because it's not just home insurance. It's not just financing. It's also how do you inspect and evaluate, this kind of house that is built right on the water, right? You definitely are going to need someone with a lot of expertise to help you with these. The next neighborhood that we're going to talk about is Day Island, which is in University Place, just across the street from Tacoma. Day Island actually juts out into the Puget Sound, and there's kind of three different parts of Day Island: the South Spit, the West and East Boulevards. So the East Boulevard homes face over onto Narrows Marina, Titlow Beach, and the west slope of Tacoma. On the west side of Day Island, you actually get these incredible views of the Olympic Mountains, sunsets, Gig Harbor and Fox Island and the Narrows Bridge. It's truly incredible. The neighborhood is pretty small, but it's a very close-knit community, and it has a lot more amenities than you might think. There is the Day Island Yacht Club. There is the Day Island Community Center, and they organize events so everybody on the island can have a membership, which costs like a little over $100 a year, and they do different neighborhood events. Day Island is convenient to University Place, which means it's a very short drive to go to bars, to go to restaurants, to do grocery shopping at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, but there is not really a walking distance connection from Day Island to restaurants or bars. Day Island has one of the highest median home prices in the area. It's much higher than the median home price of University Place, which is sort of the uber neighborhood that it belongs to, and definitely higher than anywhere in Tacoma. The prices on the island are going to vary whether you're on the east side, which faces the west slope and the marina and Titlow Beach, or if you're on the west side facing full on out to the Olympics and Commencement Bay. But it's important to also recognize that on Day Island, you have water view homes that are higher up and waterfront homes that are truly right down on the water with water access. The next neighborhood that we're going to talk about is in the Browns Point neighborhood of Tacoma, which is northeast. So to get to Browns Point, you have to go through the Port of Tacoma and around Commencement Bay to the other side. So homes in Browns Point actually look back at the Tacoma city skyline across Commencement Bay. But the neighborhood that we're going to be talking about is actually right along the water on Marine View Drive. And just like Titlow or Salmon Beach or Day Island, you're gonna see homes that are actually built on the water. And these homes have incredible views of Mount Rainier, the city of Tacoma, the water. There's all kinds of wildlife that you're gonna see and experience when you're living there. It's like an incredibly peaceful, unique neighborhood. A lot of the other neighborhoods we've been talking about, homes in this Browns Point waterfront area are notoriously hard to price. While only a few homes have sold in recent years, the prices have ranged from $800,000 to $950,000. The final neighborhood that we're going to talk about is maybe the least hidden of the hidden neighborhoods, and that is the Thea Foss Waterway right at the bottom of downtown Tacoma. So basically tucked behind the Tacoma Art Museum and then the Tacoma Glass Museum and the Washington State History Museum, there's that little strip of museums. On the other side, between there and the waterfront, is a strip of buildings where people can buy or rent right on the Thea Foss Waterway. The two condo buildings that are there are the Esplanade and Thea's Landing. Thea's Landing is unusual. It's the only condo building in Tacoma where it is both rentals and condos. So the penthouse level of Thea's Landing is condos, and the lower levels are rentals. There's also the Henry and Albers Mill Lofts, which are both rental buildings. The experience of living on the Thea Foss is unique. The waterway separates the Port of Tacoma and downtown Tacoma, so sounds from the port are going to be inevitable. There's also a public esplanade that runs all along the waterfront, which is amazing on sunny days for taking walks. There's multiple restaurants there, and you can easily go over the glass bridge from that Thea Foss neighborhood straight into Pacific Avenue in downtown. So it's a super convenient neighborhood to live in. The median home price for condos on the Thea Foss is $535,000, although this is going to vary quite a bit if you have a water view or if you have a city view, if you have a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, if you're in the penthouse or on a lower floor, but $535,000 is the median. One last thing to understand, we do live in an era of climate change, and as is the case with waterfront all over the country, here in Tacoma, especially with some of these more unique waterfront neighborhoods where homes are literally built on piers on the water, the insurance and the complexities of getting insurance and keeping insurance, it's no small thing. You definitely want to do your research and make sure that you're protected when you buy one of these houses. These things are are going to continue to change over time. Make sure that you're working with lenders, insurers, and inspectors that understand the specific type of property that you're buying so that you're protected. Here at Move to Tacoma, all we do is help people find real estate agents that specialize in different types of properties in Tacoma and the surrounding area. So if you're thinking of buying waterfront in Tacoma and you're looking for an expert, please hit the contact form, hit the link to set up a Zoom appointment. Let's talk about what you're looking for so I can help find you the perfect real estate agent. Please.
Move to Tacoma.com